morning, everyone. My name is Mike Crandall. I am the CEO of Digital Beachhead, and today I'm going to be talking to you about securing your digital beachhead and how you do penetration beyond the bits. A little about me. As I said, I'm the CEO of Digital Beachhead. I'm also the vice president of our local ISSA chapter here in Colorado Springs. A little about Colorado Springs. We went from 101 degrees Fahrenheit to snow in one day. So I know the world's gone crazy, but as we sit here, I am beginning to really feel the craziness of the world. Digital beachhead was a term I coined when I was in the military. I'm a 21-year Air Force veteran, and I've been working in the commercial world for 10 years now. But I tried to tell a commander that I was the person securing their digital beachhead for the Department of Defense, to which they asked, "What do you mean by that?" So as I tried to explain, a typical beachhead has a single point of entry, and you either defend or attack that single point. In your digital beachhead, it's everywhere. Anywhere you have an IP address isn't a point of attack, and the adversary doesn't always just come in the front door. So they laughed at me quite a bit and then said, "Okay, we'll accept that on your performance report." It eventually went on to a base-wide awards package, and 2 years after I had put it on my award, the Undersecretary of Defense used it in his speech, saying that the adversaries had secured a digital beachhead on a DoD network. And I then went out and bought the domain and bought the company name and waited till retirement so I could use it. So that's just a little about me and my past. The other stuff is there. I'm going to try not to read the slides. I'm going to want to read bits and pieces, but I really hope this is a more informative than just the dry slideshow. So an overview, what we're going to be talking about is, what is the definition, traditional definition of penetration testing? How is traditional penetration done? What is beyond the bits? What do I mean when I say let's penetrate beyond the bits? That's going to go into information gathering, policies and procedures, some social engineering, and then the fun part, I'll give you some real life examples of what we've been up to and what I've seen when I'm actually out in the field. So penetration testing defined, there's 3 different definitions. Wikipedia, where everyone seems to go to get their definitions and information, sadly. A penetration test, known as a pen test or ethical hacking, is an authorized simulated cyber attack on computer systems performed to evaluate the security of the system. The test is performed to identify both the weaknesses, also known as vulnerabilities, including the potential for unauthorized parties to gain access to the system's features and data, as well as the strengths, enabling a full risk assessment to be completed. Reading that, you basically understand that you are going to be running scripts and programs against your network. Kevin Mitnick, though, at Mitnick Security, his definition is penetration testing occurs when organizations engage a trusted third party, which I think is important, third-party professionals to simulate attacks by real intruders against their systems, infrastructures, and people. And I've highlighted people because to me, that's what this briefing is about, is doing the penetration testing beyond the bits, beyond just using your computer systems. So traditional penetration testing, it's usually specific by your OS or iOS, and you're looking to see what scripts and vulnerabilities and patches and things aren't loaded or should be loaded or maybe were missed. We do SQL injections on our websites to see if we've protected against different SQL injection attacks. But it's basically, again, you sitting at a computer, which can be anywhere in the world, and trying to probe into a network using known vulnerabilities or known attack vectors to get into a specific network or device or system. That I feel is limiting because you really want to know more than just what your system does. It's important, but it is limiting. So what do I mean then of doing a traditional or doing a penetration test beyond the bits? Well, the greatest threat is often within the IT environment, right? We all know who is our greatest threat, and anyone in the IT world usually will raise their hand and say, it's our users. Sadly, those who we are trying to protect are also our greatest threats. According to the FBI, in 2020 or in 2019, there was $3.5 billion lost to cybercrime. And the top cyber threats for 2020, per the FBI, were ransomware, again, users, phishing, again, users, data leakage, and that's more when you're not an intentional threat, but when your users release information to those who they should not be releasing it to. Hacking, your outside threat, and this is what your pen test would be protecting against. And then, of course, our insider threat that you have an employee who's gone rogue and wants to do damage to your system or service. But if you look, the top three all are based on your user. They are not based on the traditional hacker coming into your network. So while, again, it's important to protect against your hacking and your hackers, you must also protect for the user themselves. So we got to take a deeper look at than just the bits. So what we like to do with Digital Beachhead is one of the first things we do is we go for the open source information. We search Google and other search engines, dark web searches. We're basically looking to see what information is out there, open source, about the company or systems that we're going to be looking at. We do a website review. Do they openly list their phone numbers and their email? Is the email listed or is it a form? Physical location, does it say where they are or where their offices are? Does it list the leadership teams and give information, specific information about the leadership teams? We, of course, find any IP addresses that we can find, and we do DNS lookups and reverse lookups. We use sites such as Secure Trails, which helps you get detailed information. And then, of course, we look at the email header to see if we can grab information from users that have maybe contacted us as part of getting ready for this review and assessment, to see if we can gain any information out of the email header as to specific IP addresses. Is the email run on Office 365, or is it more specifically a server farm within the company itself? So those are all things we look at there. Policy procedure reviews. We like to go through and see, step one is, do you have a policy? David Ignatius from the Washington Post says, cybersecurity is one of those hot topics that has launched 1,000 seminars and strategy papers without producing much in the way of policy. Here we sit, we're at a conference. We're discussing what we need to do to protect our networks. And there's lots of, we should do this and that. And it should all be written down. IT professionals, we usually say, you know, we need to know what we're supposed to be protecting and how we're supposed to be protecting it. However, if senior management will not develop those policies, they're hard to enforce. It's hard to enforce the long passwords, say. So we ask, do they exist? Are they current? And are they in depth? Do they just say you need a password, or do they describe in detail the length of the password, how many special characters, those such things? Here's some suggested policies that we suggest to our customers. It's by far not a complete list. It is just a quick overview of some of the major ones that we think every company should be looking at and have. And you can go through those. But without a policy, you really have nowhere to begin to defend your network. The big one with penetration beyond the bits, though, is looking at social engineering. People are our targets. The users are what the bad actors are mostly going to go for. They really want to take the easiest path of entry. And if we've buttoned down our firewall and we have all this external security, you could spend days, weeks, months, whatever it may be, the traditional hacking way, trying to find your way in, or you can go through the door that's already open, and that's to your users, email, web, etc. So that's their target vector, the users. Social engineering really is trying to trick your people into revealing the information or taking some action. As humans, we like to trust. our basic instinct is to trust and to help. And so when we get into a situation where we feel we can provide support to someone, or they're having an issue and we can take an easy way out to maybe help them, we as humans tend to falter to that. The issue with that is, of course, our good nature, and by default, our good nature is what the bad actors rely on to leverage us to take actions that we would otherwise maybe not take. So we want to manipulate that trust, sadly, as penetration testers, and attempt to influence them to ignore their better instincts of protection and go to their guttural instincts of helping out a fellow American or a fellow human. So human-based social engineering, eavesdropping, we often will find out if there is a monthly meeting of IT professionals or CEOs or CFOs in town. Locally here, we have one first Friday for all the IT senior leadership, and they meet at a bar and they talk about all their issues. So it's a great spot to go and sit down and listen in and find out what the issues are in the local community and what IT problems they're having, or what patches they can't get loaded, or those kind of things. Piggybacking, you think, well, you got a secure door, so that's keeping people out. Smoke breaks are the biggest. Smoking is like a separate little community outside of the secure box that you work in. At least here in the United States, we have to go outside now for smoking areas. So they go out to the smoke pit, the smoke area, and you just strike up conversations and then follow someone in. Just go see what they're doing, and then kind of follow them in. And again, going to the good nature, people are not going to ask you to badge in. They just will hold the door for you and you can walk in. Impersonation, we've seen that a lot in phishing and spear phishing, where people do that, but you can also do that by walking in and saying, hi, I have this shirt, I look professional, I'm your IT guy, let me in. And many people are like, oh, of course, we need to help the IT person do what they're doing. Phishing is a new term, similar to phishing. It's what Kevin Mitnick used to do when you call up and try to convince the person on the phone, like, hey, I'm with help desk, help support. I need to get your username and password, those kind of things. And a big one that many people often overlook is dumpster diving. We've all been told to shred and to get rid of important materials, but those little yellow stickies that sometimes make it to the trash that have passwords on them, they might be former passwords, but it gives you a good insight, because often people only change a letter or a number or two in a password so it's easily remembered. So yeah, we will spend some time in the garbage trying to find usable things out of the rubbish, if you will. So this is a quick little video just to show you how easy it is.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
Do you want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com?
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Shh. Oh, I'm not on there either. So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're going to have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess, my name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yeah.
That's how easy it really is to just put on a crying baby. We found that females often get better headway than males when doing the phone calls, just because, again, people want to help, and there's that sexist idea that maybe the woman needs more help, which is definitely not true, especially in my household. But that we use those innate biases to get what we need when we are trying to do that penetration. And again, it shows just how simple it is to use the person against themselves and their better nature to help out. There's also the social engineering from the computer-based side. That's the sending of the emails. It's not the in-person. That's the spear phishing, the spoofing. These are more known aspects. But again, if you're doing a penetration test, if you're not trying to trick the individual users of the network or the systems you are going forth and looking at, you're really missing out on a great opportunity to show the company or the people that you are working for that their users are their risk. So some real life examples. We recently at Digital Beachhead were asked to look into a municipality, a small town city in Colorado, and their city charter says that they are a very historic city. So one of the first things we did was try to break into their Wi-Fi, and lo and behold, the password was historic. So that was pretty easy to get in. We also walked into their main city hall. I went in with my Digital Beachhead shirt and said, hello, I'm here with IT. I need to do an inventory. The person didn't ask for ID or anything, just said, okay, well, what does that mean? They allowed me in. We were able to start looking at computers when, lo and behold, someone asked, hey, are you with IT? Are you with? And they mentioned the company name that did their IT. Again, I'm wearing my Digital Beachhead shirt. And I said, of course I am. And she said, well, my email's down. Can you get on this computer and fix it? I'd be happy to. And within 2 minutes of me being on her computer looking around, she said, do I really need to be here? I have other things to do. I said, of course not. And away she went. And I had free access from the inside within 10 minutes to the entire city's computer system. So we also went outside and dressed down, very shabby, but had probably about $5,000 worth of IT equipment, MacBooks, tablets, a Wi-Fi receiver. And when I say we dressed down, we dressed like we hadn't had a good meal or a place to sleep in quite a few days. And we did this right outside of their police station. And we were there for 3 hours, again, looking at their Wi-Fi with the password historic, and no one questioned us. So it, again, shows that people don't like to get involved. They don't want to make a fuss. And that's one of the things that you can use to your advantage. Another example is for phishing. I happen to own, and Digital Beachhead, my company, owns coloradosweepstakes.com. You can feel free to go there. It is not malicious. It has no malicious code. But as you see, it says enter here. So if you want to join the sweepstakes, all you have to do is provide some information. We don't ask for anything very important, just name, email, birth dates, the address. So nothing that could be really considered too much PPE or PPI, I mean, personal information, personal private information. But it just shows the willingness to fill out a form from a random source. And we get a lot of responses for that from users when we send it out. The first thing we do before we even start the assessment is we send an email to all the users in the organization asking them or telling them congratulations, they've won, or they can at least apply to win this big sweepstakes for thousands of dollars. And we get quite a reply. And this one is the scariest one of all. We've been asked to look at hospitals. And one of the things that hospitals worry about is infants leaving the ward and being removed from the hospital. So this example shows how people rely on technology now and stop asking questions personally. So we go in and we get fake uniforms to simulate security guards, and we just start walking the halls and getting to know the nurses and people on stations. And there's always a baby in the ward that they've put in. They know that there's a test and stuff going on, but they don't know quite what it is. And they have the dummy baby in the baby ward. And our job is to try to remove it. So after a week or so of walking around as a security guard, we're able to go in and, we walk through the baby ward. And all the babies have a bracelet with an RFID on it, but it also triggers alarms. Well, lo and behold, if you look at Funyuns, which is a popular snack here in the US, but the bag is made of Mylar. Mylar stops the transmission of the RFID. So you can go to any snack machine, pick up a Funyuns bag or bring one with you. No one checks if you're carrying a Funyuns bag. And so you can walk in and you just simply place that over the baby's wrist, stopping the RFID. You're able to put the baby into a duffel bag that you've been carrying around with you every week, all during the week while you're pretending to be a security guard. And lo and behold, you can walk out with a baby. We've had 7 hospitals and 7 babies. So it's the scariest thing that we do. But it's also just showing that people are relying. If they don't hear the alarm, therefore their babies are safe. Instead of starting to ask those personal questions like, are you a new security guard? Why do you need to go look at the babies? This is new. All those types of questions. People just tend not to. We kind of fall back onto them and their weaknesses. So as we've been discussing in this briefing, we as IT professionals, we like to look at the bits. We like to look at the servers and the systems and see where there are faults. However, we always at these conferences talk about the users and how we know the users are our greatest risk. And so we talk about training and how do we train our users. The thing that I want people to walk away from this briefing understanding is, apart from training the users, we have to test the users. When we do a penetration test, we should not only just test the equipment and the systems for known vulnerabilities. We know the biggest vulnerability is our users, and therefore we should be testing them as well, using some various methods that I've outlined to provide a fuller picture for those customers that we support when we look at their systems as a whole. So again, my name is Mike Crandall. I am the CEO of Digital Beachhead. My information is there. If you'd like to pop me an email, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Welcome to our brave new world, where I was hoping to be there in person and can answer your questions, but instead we are in the land of COVID, and here we sit. I am enjoying you from lovely Colorado, where again, we went from 101 degrees Fahrenheit to 36 in snow. And I wish I was there enjoying a nice beverage with you all. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.